it does, you just cut the phone. Good. Let's see. All right. Are you ready?
Yeah. Hello, and welcome to Brightside Global Trade TV.
Good afternoon.
And we are so excited because we've completed 70 episodes in the Brightside Club environment, and I think we've done 25 interviews. So this is a very special interview that we have with Dr. Shelley Plum, who's spoken at the club and has given us copies of her book, and we will be giving out these as prizes as well during the conferences. So stay tuned to the end of this video so we can tell you how you can win a prize. And so here I am with Elton Brewington, my co-host, and Dr. Shelley Plum. What an honor and what a lovely book. So I'm going to let Elton introduce the book, and then we'll ask you a question and take it from there.
Good afternoon, Brightside. Really delightful to share this book with you. Break or Bounce. This book has an incredible caliber of insightfulness that during these times that we can all benefit from. It shares with us, I believe, as we talk to the author, a capacity, a power, and a grace to understand what we're up against and how we can incorporate those challenges to bounce back. And that's where we all need to be, is bouncing back. Because we will, at some point, this whole virus will be over, and it'll be demanded of us to bounce back in a greater, grander, more fabulous way. And so we're so delightful to have the author here to share that with us. Welcome, Dr. Plum. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, I'm just much for having me.
Yeah, it's very good. We're inspired by the book. And so even in writing it, I know you shared with us that it delivered a certain caliber of trauma and it's disturbing elements, but you've delivered a gem. And kudos for that. Good job.
Well,
so share with us. Yeah. So I mean, the memories and your reflectiveness was quite insightful. Did you have a process or a recipe for helping you come to understand and remember in the book?
You know what? It's interesting. As I was writing, I almost felt like I was guided in many respects. And going through it, I sat down with the idea that I knew that in my heart I was hurting in many respects. It was I'm not sure if you can relate to this. I felt almost like I was broken in some areas, and I also knew that my grandmother had so many words of wisdom that I felt probably could lend me some healing. So what I did one day is I sat down with a pen and paper and I started writing. I just started writing and remembering things that she had said and then reflecting on that. And I have such a love for nature. So that book is really a reflection of her wise words and lessons that I have learned from nature.
Oh, amazing. You share that with us. I mean, in the element of hurt and healing. And it's, physiologically, it's pretty powerful in that when we hurt or we come to a place of hurt, do you know that the place that we've hurt or come to can be even more powerful than our normal selves? Yeah, because, it's almost like when you hurt a bone or something like that, the body sends surpluses of calcium there. And so it could, at some point, be the strongest parts of who we are. So those elements in your writing after coming over the hurt could be revolutionary in terms of how we feel about it.
I absolutely love what you just said, because as both of you know, my prior profession, I was a foot and ankle surgeon. So fixed a lot of broken bones for sure. And you are 100% right, is where a bone is broken, when it heals, it's stronger, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, the same thing with the book is that, when we in our lives come across a roadblock, when we find a way to go through that, around it, or over it, we are stronger for it. It does not weaken. So when we put in that work and we do it, you know what? Guess what? There's so much reward on the other side.
Yes, yes, that's quite phenomenal. I can't explain it. It's just kind of the way it is. But in that, perhaps in the revelations of the book and exploring what can be, walking through with people and the audience that reads it, how profoundly improved we can be. How profoundly improved we can be. So kudos.
So
to you,
tell us, I love the cover to Break or Bounce, and I think that the whole apple tree, and there's so many stories with this image in the book, and so many. Tell us all about this image and the stories in the book, and then about your favorite plant. It looks like you love nature.
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love nature. I feel like I'm whole in nature. And if you look around, nature teaches us so many exquisite lessons. It is so true. And the
Mm,
apple tree is a very important symbol in the book because it represents the first thing that I learned through writing the book, and I learned from my grandmother, and that is about balance. And that tree, writing about that tree, it was a real tree that was in my grandmother's yard. And I remember it
mm,
when I was 4 years old, going out and picking apples. And can I tell you, they were the best smelling and tasting apples
okay.
ever. I remember
Uh-huh.
climbing the tree with my brother and having so much fun. And
Mm-hmm.
it never changed. It was always stable. It was always, and honestly, the tree is really an important symbol because the title of the book is To Break or To Bounce. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember even as a child looking up into these beautiful branches, right? It was a huge tree and watching
Mm-hmm.
them sway. And I realized that, you know what, when we're rigid in our life, when
Mm-hmm.
if those branches that were swaying so beautifully, if they're rigid, what's going to happen when wind blows in? They're going to
Yeah,
break.
Yeah.
yeah,
They're
true.
going to break and they're going to fall. And so
Right.
that in itself was a lesson for me that if I'm going to bounce and not break under the stress of trauma and drama, I
Mm-hmm.
have to be flexible. So that
Sure,
tree
sure.
taught me a lesson, and it was a really stable symbol through the book.
That's
Yes.
that's amazing. That's amazing. I read that through a minute, and how you describe the balance and how you collect and the importance of balance in your life, and how even when there's balance in life, when the ripe apples overripe, they fall to the earth, and there's always balance in life. I mean, there's always balance, and so
Absolutely.
how amazing.
And then the little ball, the symbolism of the red, I think that like just adds so much. And to the book, the whole thing about bounce.
Right,
So
right,
tell
right.
us
Yeah.
about bouncing. And I know I've shared my bouncing story with you, but
Oh,
tell us about bouncing. Yeah.
I love your stories about bouncing. Yeah, both of you. I mean, it's just
Mhm,
so
mhm,
empowering for me to listen to that. And yes, the ball actually was a real childhood ball that I had. And I always look forward to when I was going to my grandmother's house is having this ball, right? And
mhm, mhm,
it's interesting. Over the years, as I was a child, every year it would become a little more weathered, right? It would become a little more weathered, a little cracked, a little, not, and from the outsider looking in, it looked like it was on its last legs, right? It was about to pop. But I'll tell you, it
mhm,
lasted years and years and years and years. And that ball was another lesson for me because in our lives when we have drama, when we have trauma, when we have bad things that are happening to us, not so positive things, you know what,
mhm,
we may be cracked on the outside, right? But inside we're resilient, inside we have balance, inside we are ready to soar. So
mhm,
that ball is a significant symbol, and I carry it through the entire book because the ball
mhm,
actually takes on a life of its own, and that life was in me. and
mhm,
and even though it was weathered, even though it was beaten and broken, inside it still had that bounce in it. And in
mhm,
our lives, that's what we need to do when we're faced with that adversity. There are honestly two ways we can go. Trauma comes in, and we have a choice. We can either take that trauma and we can let it defeat us. We spiral down into nothing, what good is that? Or we can take that drama, we can be determined, we have that moxie and bounce to the heavens. And that's what that ball does. During the course of the story, it bounces to the heavens, and we all can do that.
That's great advice. When we think about 400,000 plus, I think it's almost 8 more that have passed away because of COVID, and then around the world. And when we think about loss of a loved one, and it is devastating even within our group, because every week we get an email or a phone that somebody has passed away. And so we are really living in pandemic times, and to break or bounce is kind of an essential, I think, right now, because we really need to have courage to pick ourselves up and bounce. So what advice would you give people who are going through, and anything from the book as well? I know we've benefited greatly reading the book. What advice would you give somebody who has lost someone to COVID? And then you can come back.
You know what? Advice that I would give would, first and foremost, is make sure that you are taking care of you. And that is one thing, and I know you have read the book, so you understand that. I was not good at taking care of me. Shelley always came second. I was a workaholic. I was always putting other, I did not, my cup was continually almost empty. And the balance in my life, that's the first words of advice, is my balance was severely out of order. I was taking care of everyone else, and Shelley was down here. So for everyone out there, it is essential, especially in wake of the pandemic, that you take care of you, that your balance is in order, for sure. That is the first thing. You know what? If you feel like you're depleted, make sure you go out for that walk. Make sure you take that quiet time. Make sure you meditate, do yoga, get some exercise, get out in the sun. That's important for your balance. The second words of advice is I would give them is to make sure that you have a solid personal foundation, meaning that you know who you are, that you, like I said, you take care of you, because your personal foundation is incredibly, incredibly important. And there is, unfortunately, in our day and age, there are people sometimes that put holes in our foundation. There's circumstances that put holes in our foundation. It is up to us, and it's a choice of us to make sure we keep plugging that holes with good, inspirational, educational resources that help to really solidify that foundation. The last thing is resilience. We have to know who we are as individuals. Spiritually, it's important that we know where we're going in our life. We have a destination, that we realize that our journey in life is just that. It is a journey. And any journey that you are on, there is going to be roadblocks. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be potholes in the road. And, we should actually honestly celebrate them, because like we were talking about earlier in this interview today, those obstacles, those potholes are what make us strong. Those potholes, yes, absolutely. Those potholes are what are going to make us, better able to help ourselves and better able to help others that are around us. And that's what my ultimate goal is with the book, is not just to help me, but to help everyone around that reads it.
Very good, very good. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Shelley, for your advice and input today. We really appreciate your directions. And I'd like to, on the sidebar, if we can move this, create this platform, and have our audience join us through our process of going through this break or bounce procedure, where at the end of it, we learn how to bounce. Yep. We learn how to bounce back. We learn how to bounce forward. We learn how to bounce through it. So at the end of the process in our series, Dr. Shelley shares with us bouncing as a principle, bouncing as a habit, bouncing as a condition to improve and strengthen our lives. So we're grateful for you and your input here, and we hope, and this is going to reach a lot of people. So let's bounce. Let's bounce.
So here you have it. to Break or Bounce is available everywhere and Amazon. It is also going to be in our Hallmark Brightside library that we're starting. And hopefully when we get our physical location with our club, we will have this book when the pandemic ends for many more people.
And you'll be
read.
speaking personally to the group.
And Dr. Shelley will be speaking at the club and at the conferences. So make sure that you stay tuned to this video and at the link, subscribe by pressing the bell button, and we'll make sure that we tell you and invite you and to get your VIP ticket, which is complimentary. And if you really want the ticket, you want to tell us where you are so we can keep you posted on when Dr. Shelley will be speaking at the club and at our conference. So tell us something to close this interview, and then we'll stop recording.
Well, I have to say that thank you, first of all, for your very kind words. I really am so humbled and very grateful for all that you do. Not, not just for me, but you do so much for the community. And I know that because I have been on your meetings, and such a warm, compassionate, it's almost like you're giving virtual hugs, right? So it's really amazing. And you know what? I think if I'm concluding the interview and wanted to give you any parting last words, I'd love to leave you with my favorite quote.
Okay.
It is actually by the amazing Martin Luther King, and he says faith, talks about faith, and I think I may have talked to you about it before, but I'm going to say it again. Faith is taking the first step when you can't see the whole staircase, and realizing that is okay, realizing that you have the strength, you have the courage, you have the moxie to push back anything that's negative in your life and really bounce to the heavens. So I encourage all of you to reach out to me if you'd like, or read the book, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. I love you all.
Thank you.
What is your website?
My website is Dr. Shelley Plum at Gmail. I'm sorry, drshelleyplum.com is my my website.
So if you want to go directly to the author, it's drshelleyplum.com. And Elton, will you close us out?
Thanks. Let's bounce.
Let's bounce. I'm ready. I am ready. And if anybody wants to reach out to me directly, they can actually do it through Facebook. We're on Facebook as Dr. Shelley Plum Author. You can also reach out to me via my email if you like. It's Shelley, SHELLEY, at plumtalkproductions.com.
There you have it. And you can reach us at www.brightsideglobaltrade.org. And see you later.